Havelock North's a great place to hang out on a summer's day. It's busy and it's lively. People getting their lunchtime coffee fix or chatting to friends. And at the Saturday market, enjoying the buzz of good stuff to buy amongst the colour and crush of summertime crowds. At this time of year, thoughts turn to holidays. Perhaps a trip to Gisborne to enjoy the sea, the sand, the wonderfully welcoming weather. Or Coromandel's hot water beach. Now that's something definitely different, sitting in pools of deliciously warm water right on the beach. And here's Amy, visiting from England, checking that bubbly stuff near Rotorua and wondering if it really is as hot as they say. Lots of choices, but all mean a trip away from home. Yet surely there's something closer. A day out in the car, perhaps, to see the local area. And that's just what Susan here is planning to do. Starting at Havelock North's Information Centre. The Information Centre building started life in 1914, when the Havelock North Town Board announced a design competition for a building to house an electricity transformer. The winner was James Chapman Taylor, and he proposed something that had a bit of style, a gabled building of concrete with rough-cast whitewash finish, and a high roof fitted with terracotta tiles. Thus the transformer house was born, perfect for the English-style village and taken to heart by Havelock North's residents. Today it's recognised by the New Zealand Historic Places Trust, a great place from which to start a trip down Middle Road. Having started though, it only takes a minute or two before arriving at the former Lucknow Lodge. Today it's a private residence, with some of the original features of this 1895 building still visible. The shaped eaves, for example, and part of the fence. Terry Longley is the current owner, and when he and his late wife purchased the property, they had a clear vision of the building fully restored. Their friends, though, saw only an old derelict building beyond repair. But that just generated more enthusiasm in the restoration quest. A big problem was that the garage roof had a bow in it like a camel's back, and that had to be fixed. With good Kiwi ingenuity, Terry and his helpers simply used a car jack, and to their relief the thing straightened out. And then there was 100 years of lead-based paint to be removed. Terry took on this task, 6 weeks of work, but the reward was well worth it as the timbers emerged. Beautiful kauri, rimu and matai. Lucknow Lodge was as much as possible saved. In the early days, bullock drays hauled bales of wool to ships riding at anchor off the mouth of the Tukituki River, and they'd stop en route at Lucknow Lodge. The lodge started life as a livery stable and depot for horse-drawn buses, running a passenger transport service into Hastings. By 1912, John G. Nimmin had bought the business and was running Studebaker buses on the route. Today, Nimmin Coach Lines is still going, operating tourism experiences of the highest quality throughout New Zealand. A relaxing way to travel, although going it alone in one's own car means freedom to stop and stare at whatever one's eye singles out. And just out of Havelock North, a bovine sculpture on a hill with perfectly positioned cow. A day in which Hawke's Bay shows off its beauty, in a feast of gently folding hills and peaceful farmlands. About 3.5 kilometres from Havelock North, along Middle Road, is Birdwood's Gallery, a place of craft art, of lunches on the deck, and in the park-like grounds, dramatic Zimbabwean Shona sculpture, and Birdwood's metallic pieces. But for kids, their focus is elsewhere, and the sign says it all. Birdwood's Gallery is owned by Louise and Bruce Stobart, who came over to New Zealand in 2004 from Zimbabwe, establishing Birdwood's Gallery in this, the original church hall from St. Peter's in Waipawa. The moving and fitting out was quite a job, but today we all benefit. The gallery's frequently changing displays of Afro-Kiwi craft, a big drawcard. The name Birdwood's is from Zimbabwe, where Louise set up Birdwood's metal sculpture back in 1991. A good range being displayed here in the spacious gardens. And amazingly, it's all made from recycled 40-gallon oil drums. Shona's stone sculptural work is also on display, made by talented people who use only the most basic of tools to get these superb results. Reluctantly, though, it's time for Susan to say goodbye to Birdwood's and continue on this trip down Middle Road. The area around Havelock North was in the early days rather sparsely populated with roads, and Middle Road was one of the first, following more or less an old Maori track heading south from East Clive. Today it's a pleasant drive as it heads through the Pokawa Tukituki area of Hawke's Bay. Plenty to see and plenty to enjoy, one of which is a real Havelock North success, Webster's Hydrated Lime Company. Back in 1946, Bruce Webster and brother Morris joined forces with their uncle and bought a bankrupt lime company on the outskirts of Havelock North. Bit of a risk, because they knew nothing about lime. But Bruce was an engineer, his brother an accountant, so they decided the lime industry might be something that could move forward. As if that wasn't scary enough, the company had no customers whatever, and only a short time to learn what to do to get ready for the Freezing Works killing season. The Freezing Works being a big market. So it was a huge learning curve. Amazingly, they soon got back all the clients the previous company had lost. Today, technology and experience has eased the labour somewhat. Initially, lime was extracted using explosives and rock broken up with pneumatic hammers. Kilns loaded by trolleys, and coal was hand-shovelled, and that's after you'd got it down from Huntly. But today, Webster's is a prosperous business, with a genuine enthusiasm amongst staff and management, and a lot of contented clients. For the rest of us, there's no doubt that Webster's hydrated lime is important in the productivity and developing history of the area. A part of life along Middle Road. As Susan's finding out, there's a lot to see along Middle Road. It's just a matter of choosing. But one is this, known as the Drovers Memorial Hut. The well-fenced paddocks adjacent were once owned by the County Council and used by drovers to hold stock overnight, since there was a small creek which gave a source of water for the animals. The drover bunked down in the hut. At one point the County Council decided to sell the land and pull down the concrete hut. Well, what a hullabaloo that caused. Meetings were convened, voices raised, objections noted, and in the end the hut was left, in fact, improved. And today it stands as a memorial to a young local drover who died a casualty of the Second World War. Today, these same paddocks house some interesting machinery, a passion of Jason Scott. He's got a traction engine, and you can often see him working on it or using it around Hawke's Bay. There's the odd railway signal and a few tractors. Some go, some used to go, and most eventually will go. Not many people, though, have an R-Class railway wagon, nor a carriage as rare as this one. But what a task restoration is. It's not just a matter of refurbishing springs and wheels, and there's a fair bit to do on them, but lots to do inside. However, work is in progress as time and labour is available. But when was this carriage built?
The carriage is one of 4 built between 1904 and 1908. This is AF728 and was built in, I believe, April 1908. It's one of 4 that are still in existence. They're an unusual carriage. They were built for the suburban services, 2 for Wellington and 2 for Auckland. Strangely enough, out of all the carriages, they still exist. There's this one here in Hawke's Bay, which is, as I said, AF728. Its sister is in Wellington, and there are 2 further in Auckland.
So, An interesting place out here on Middle Road. And something suggests Jason is a good old steam man. Oh, and one other thing. Check out Flynn. What a racket he creates. But he's a bit of a cutie, often being filmed and showing off his bonza ears. An unexpected attraction of life down Middle Road. From Middle Road, there are numerous side roads leading into the hills or down towards the Tukituki River. And one of these is Blind Road. It gets its name because it doesn't go to any particular destination. It just ends at farmland near the river. Once known as Kahunaraki Road, it used to be a crossing point where the river could be forded and a connection made to Rochefort Road on the eastern side. Today from Blind Road there's a clear view of Mount Kahunaraki, a 646-metre high landform sacred to Maori, which looks down to the Tukituki River. And the river's a great asset, offering plenty of recreational opportunities, including fishing, of course. Rising in the Ruahine Ranges, it cuts its way through Hawke's Bay, and in the quiet of a summer's evening, there's nothing more relaxing yet still challenging than to fish for trout. During its course towards the sea, the Tukituki River sweeps through the Paramahanga Gorge, an erosion channel about 2 kilometres long, another variant in the character of the Tukituk. And on the river flats below is the site of a former large island pa, opposite which lighters from the coast would moor just near a bush hotel, the location of which is today identified by a stand of eucalyptus trees. But of course, if you're driving, this is something you'll have to miss. About 27 kilometres south of Havelock North, Te Ati Trust Road meets Middle Road and leads across to State Highway 2. It's a pleasant drive across, past Tikaraka, and still free of the harum-scarum traffic of the State Highway. A bit past Tikaraka is Kawahai Farm. You'll almost surely be brought to a stop when you see a telephone box in a paddock. Except it's not. Well, partly not. But more of that in a minute. All you need to know is this is Pat Barker's place. Home to many things, coloured wools in particular. Today, 3 spinners from town are in spinner's heaven, as Pat takes them through the various wools available.
Colour, isn't it? This one? Yes, it's just very pale, but it's just, and they always come up a little bit darker.
So the really black ones over there, they're younger sheep? Or?
The colour. As mirrored as the colour.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that
yes.
is soft. That is wonderful.
That's the.
Pat Barker's had a strong interest in many aspects of country life. Farming, of course, but 2 others are pony club activities and dog breeding. Today, though, she's well known for her coloured sheep, and a very woolly lot they are too, as they wait to meet Kingi Renata, who's come up from Pukahau to give them a bit of a trim. Pat has always been interested and involved in A&P shows, and has a dazzling display of awards for her sheep and wools, some of these particularly notable. And she's well known by spinners for the wonderful fleeces gained from her flock of coloured sheep. So what's all this stuff about a telephone laboratory? The Tellyloo. Well, it's this. Pat's son Michael had a business based on the farm, and when it was moved to Waipawa, it was decided to leave the phone line in and the loo, handy if a busload of spinners called. So Pat's husband Robin built the Tellyloo, bigger than a phone box and thankfully with higher windows. So welcome to the Tellyloo. A hop, skip and jump from Kawahai Farm is part of Brownrigg's agri-farming business. And over the years, a lot of work has been put into developing first-class cropping soils, particularly here in the Pokawa Te Aute valleys, making the area a major crop-growing and livestock-raising region. Brownriggs is one of New Zealand's largest farming agribusinesses. Its operations include cropping and livestock. Here, one of the company's triple-tiered Volvo stock trucks is loading for a trip to Martin. And for those passengers who get on first, there's the luxury of a window seat. That's the good news. The bad news is, it's not a return trip for the passengers. Growing crops includes producing, packing and shipping. Crops such as squash, and for local processors, peas, onions and sweet corn. It's a very professional setup. From the roadside, one can see beautifully laid out crops growing well in Hawke's Bay's climate, a tribute to the brown rig pioneers who struggled for years to create the right kind of environment for today's successful farming and cropping enterprise, and to those who carry on the brown rig reputation. Moving on, it's only a couple of minutes to the end of Te Aute Trust Road. Welcome to State Highway 2. Busy as it is, State Highway 2 also offers things to see, places to visit, and one is this, the pub at Te Aute. In 1936, the pub was destroyed by fire. The replacement, built in the style of those created in the 1930s when Napier and Hastings were being rebuilt. Art Deco Spanish Mission. Designed by architect Albert Garnett, it has all the characteristics of decorative art allied to the Art Deco movement. Quite an Art Deco delicacy. Further on, you can catch a glimpse of the meeting house at the Pukehou Marae. And if you need a break, you'll find a good dollop of peacefulness next door, in the grounds of the Pukehou Church. At this point, Te Aunapu Road leads away from State Highway 2 and its bustling exuberance, to again present a vista, conjuring up a sense of peacefulness and beauty, country views, tight curves, rugged landscapes, eventually leading to Burma Road, once more immersing one in Hawke's Bay's pastoral peacefulness. It's a good idea to stop at the top of Burma Road before driving down. The views, for one thing, are captivating. That's Lake Pokawa down there. And even though from a distance Burma Road seems nothing more than a gentle slope, don't be deceived. Concentrate. So Burma Road's nearly done, except for an unexpected obstruction.
Excuse me, do you mind?
Somebody's going to have to back off, to blink first, to throw caution to the wind. Bovine belligerence is not something to be taken lightly, and prime beef can make huge dents in our horseless carriage. So it's time to move on. Most cars today have all the mod cons, so for radio, just press. And thank these, the radio masts at Opapa. In 1938, these were erected to serve the national radio programs emanating from the New Zealand Broadcasting Service studios in Napier. 100 metres high and 200 apart, they stand on a site noted for its spectacular reception. And today they look down on the one remaining building, another Art Deco gem in the Spanish mission style. Its importance confirmed by the New Zealand Historic Places Trust. A short distance beyond the radio masts is the restored Opapa railway station. Well, that's what it's known as today, although this sign seems to take a bet each way, Opapa or Te Aute. Archival records spell out the nameplace problem. It seems that the nearest railway station to Te Aute was Pukehau, and further away from Te Aute was this station, then called Te Aute. It really caused lots of freight mix-ups when the goods for Te Aute would have been better dropped off at Pukehau and not at Te Aute, today officially Opapa. So there was a lot of discussion, lots of painting out of the signage, unofficially that is. But today, Opapa seems to be it, unless one likes the earlier name of Te Aute. But whatever it's called, it's been restored by enthusiasts who have given hours of their time to bring it back into shape, showing what it was like years ago. Another restoration in progress is at the Peka Peka wetland, 10 kilometres south of Hastings, where boardwalks and pathways allow easy access to view waterfowl or photograph the quiet beauty of reflected images. For those who love New Zealand's countryside, Hawke's Bay offers lots to treasure. Things as Kiwi as a thing can be. Cabbage trees against the summer sky, or farmland shaped and shadowed by the setting sun, and wool upon a farmer's fence, or a tractor's easy hum in tidy fields. These are the things that make us feel at home. They are our comfort zone, and easy to achieve, if you do just what Susan did, and take a trip down Middle Road.